What's going on, everybody? Today we're going to look at the Solstice event and how it ended up turning out. So we're going to look at 5 things that I really enjoyed and 5 things I didn't enjoy so much. Okay, starting with number 1 on the like column. I like the new content. The European aerial zone was actually pretty cool, especially the first couple times you run it. It's kind of nice, you know? They made this thing where you can use vertical space, you can go in all of the buildings, and it's actually fun. It's way better than the Infinite Forest and all the different redos or reduxes they did on that thing. Like, this was actually something interesting and new, and I like the mechanics of it. I liked how you had to kill all the mini bosses and then you had one boss spawn at the end and you weren't done, you had to actually go find chests. That is a fun thing to do. I even liked the layout, because it was confusing at first and then you kind of get a handle on it, but you can still screw up even if you've ran it over 100 times. That adds a little bit of a challenge, which is cool because challenges are few and far between. They're really limited to the raids and nothing else is really challenging. I mean, nightfalls are kind of challenging, but if you have a good team together and you put together your card right, you can run through those too. So we don't have much in the way of challenge for PvE. This was kind of challenging, especially when you're at low light level. That made it fun. Alright, number 2. I really enjoyed having full playlists. I didn't spend a lot of time for matchmaking with a lot of other Guardians because everybody was doing stuff. The requirements made people go into Strikes, go into Gambit, go play Crucible. The wait time between matches was actually less. I enjoyed that too, and because everybody was doing it, the European aerial zone also had fast matchmaking. That was nice. That's been one of the complaints that everybody's had for the last 6 to 8 months, is how matchmaking takes forever because the playlists aren't full. Well, this solved a lot of that, and it was kind of nice to have that happen. Alright, number 3. The grind. Now, I'll touch on this on the things I dislike as well, but first, the thing I like about the grind, it allowed me to use guns that I would never use and finish catalysts on guns that I've never even thought about finishing. And I'm a little bit of a completionist, so that's why I wanted to do it. I also got to pull out guns and play around with them in Strikes, Crucible, Gambit, and I found some new ones that I actually enjoy using. This would not have happened had I not gone to finish the catalyst for them. And that's all because I'm doing a bunch of grindy stuff, and since it's not super high level, I can use weapons that aren't as effective as Recluse and Mountaintop. So I can go through here, finish off the catalyst, and now I have a new gun that I might like, or worst case scenario, I just have another one for my collection that I finished. And for me, this gave me an excuse to grind out a new character. I didn't even finish the Red War campaign with the Hunter that I created. So I wasn't even level 10 when I started, but because I finished my other 2 characters, I had an excuse to jump on a third one, and because I had a bunch of stuff to do, I could level up and accomplish the Solstice at the same time. So it gave me an excuse to have another character, and to be honest, I understand why everybody uses Hunters in Crucible. They're a little bit broken, jumping and dodging around everywhere, stabbing people in the back twice. Not cool, man. Be a Titan or be a Warlock. Quit being a jerk. Alright, number 4. I like that the reward for this event was relevant gear, meaning you can use this armor that we have and now immediately have a set of 2.0 armor once Shadowkeep hits. Now, this doesn't mean you're instantly going to throw all of your old armor away, but eventually you're going to want to shift over to Armor 2.0 if you've been watching the updates from Luke Smith on how Armor 2.0 is going to work. So this means you'll immediately have a set of Armor 2.0. You can instantly start messing around with the new mods on your armor, and you can start doing the synergy system that they've been pushing for. So that's really cool that we got a reward that's not going to be moot or pointless in a couple months. I like that. Plus, let's just be honest, it looks pretty badass. Like, with the ornament on it, they look really cool, and that's another good thing that they did. They made it so this armor can look like this going forward, and it's not just active during this event. That's a big plus. And that kind of leads us into number 5 a little bit, because in this season there was the elemental buff system that rotated every day. They could have totally screwed this up. They could have done what they did in the Revelry, where everything just became complete chaos, and I saw people commenting, well, looks like I'm not going to be playing Crucible for the next 2 weeks. Looks like I'm not going into Gambit for the next 2 weeks. I understand why they were upset. I didn't have a bad time because I kind of took advantage of the system and started throwing grenades every 2 seconds. That was kind of fun, and it was a nice reprieve for 2 weeks. But this season, the buffs that they have for each subclass and elemental type was actually well done. It didn't destroy Crucible, it didn't destroy Gambit, and it didn't ruin anything. I don't see anybody complaining about the burst of fire that comes out from Guardians in Crucible. I don't see people bitching about going invisible. I don't see people complaining about extended supers any more than they already were. Now, it can happen, and it's kind of annoying to get hit by a Striker Titan 2 or 3 times in the same super. That's kind of annoying, and yeah, it's broken, but it's pretty rare. You have to really set that up. It didn't break Crucible with the system that they put together for Solstice, so that was nice. The armor set and how subtly they handled the empowerment for this event was really well done. Okay, on to the portion that everybody wants to hear, because everybody likes to hear complaining. So, dislike number 1, the grind. Holy crap, was there so much grinding. Now, a lot of this is my fault. Okay, I understand that I didn't have to grind out 3 characters in 3 weeks. I get it. I made myself go through that because I wanted it faster. So not everybody did that, and that's okay. Maybe they intended everybody to finish it over the entire month. That's fine. The inherent problem with the grind was the sheer amount of hours you need to put in if you want to do 3 characters. Even if you're not a serious player and you're just a casual and all you want to do is 1 character, it's really not that bad. If you take a couple weeks to do it, that's fine. The problem is if you want to do 3 characters, it's going to take you over 60 strikes. That's ridiculous. Each strike on average lasts 10 minutes, and that's when you run through them. But with this event, you have to get orbs, and you have to play different, which means you're killing more enemies and taking more time in these strikes than you normally would. So that time skyrockets, and that's just ridiculous to get all 3 characters done. And I'm not even talking about getting it masterwork. What they should have done with this was made it when you got 1 set, the next 2 sets were easier to get, or you instantly got the purple set, or at least reduce the amount of grinding necessary for your 2nd and 3rd character. That would have made more sense, because for the casuals, they're not going to know anyway, because they're only doing 1 character, maybe 2. But for people who want to use all 3 characters because they like using a variety of different things, and they use them for a different purpose in different raids, or Crucible, or Gambit, they're going to want to do all 3 characters, which means they're going to need to do over 600 strikes. I'm not even talking about Gambit or the requirements in Crucible. That's whatever. I'm just talking about the strike requirement. Now add on top of that all the hours you need to spend in the EAZ, especially before they nerf the box collection thing. Now, like I said, that's on us because we did it because we wanted to. That's fine. I just think they could have handled it a little bit better and made the grind a little bit easier, a little bit shorter for people who are willing to put up with the full requirement for the 1st character, maybe a little less for the 2nd character, and then even a little less for the 3rd character. I think they could have done that a little bit better. Number 2, on things that I disliked about the Solstice event, was the emptiness of the playlists that weren't required by the armor set. So I'm talking about raids, or Menagerie if you're still doing that, forges. Those weren't required for any of the armor sets, which means nobody wants to do those because it's just a waste of their time, or at least that's how they feel. So by not having those requirements on the armor, we have empty playlists. And I don't know if this is just from my clan and it didn't happen everywhere, but I'm guessing this was Destiny-wide. Nobody really wants to raid because they're all working on getting the new armor set. And that was kind of annoying, especially when a raid came out recently and I want to grind it to get new guns. I mean, to fix this, I don't know what they could have done. I think lowering the requirements, like I said, and the first thing that I didn't like, probably would have reduced the amount of time that people were kept away from raids. Maybe they could have made an alternative. On the green armor, it said complete 10 Gambit or Crucible matches. So why couldn't they make a Forge one, or maybe a raid completion, or kills in raids, or anything else? The only thing that you were getting from doing a raid was the orb generation and maybe the specific requirements, but a lot of these raids require mechanics that might not allow for you to do the specific thing that you're looking to finish on your gear. So maybe this one's a little bit personal, but I felt that that was kind of annoying. Alright, for the third thing that I didn't really enjoy was the lack of loot. I said I liked the armor, which I do, but the problem is that's all there was. And these stupid boxes that we have, they only drop the new armor, once every 10 boxes if you're lucky. So you're getting a bunch of the old armor, and on top of that, you only get boxes in the EAZ, but you get keys to open up the boxes everywhere, doing everything. So if you are anything like me, you have 8,000 keys in your inventory and like 80 boxes, but 15 times 80 does not equal 8,000. So I think they messed up with the loot mechanic a little bit. I think they could have reworked a year 1 gun and had that as a weapon that you got for completing the EAZ a certain amount of times, similar to how they did with the gun Horror Story for completing the runs through the Haunted Forest. They could have given us something else to grind for, and then maybe we wouldn't have cared so much while we were grinding, because we were grinding for, a new gun that we could try out. And I probably would have done more aerial zone stuff had I been able to get a gun out of it too. I think that would be pretty cool. Number 4 is probably a smaller complaint, and this can happen anytime. It just became more prevalent during the Solstice event. Was going into a lobby in Crucible against 6 hunters running Spectral Blades on Void Day. That can happen anytime, but it was more prevalent now because everybody's trying to do the requirements needed for Solstice. It's just kind of annoying. It didn't really break the game or anything. It was more of a pet peeve than anything else. And number 5, I think this is very specific to me or anybody who grinded as fast or even faster than I did, was motivational depletion. Having the long grind and having all of those empty playlists outside of the things that were required, so you couldn't even go do anything else to take your mind or kind of distract yourself from the grind. The lack of any additional loot. It's just, at the end of this, grinding through this many hours of repetitive play, you kind of lose motivation. And I noticed that in the clan as well, as people kind of became lackluster about playing the game. It almost seemed like a job, and that's not how it should be. People should be having fun doing these things. So when I said I liked the European aerial zone, I did the first 10 times I was in it. The next 70 weren't as fun because I've been in there, I've done everything, there's nothing for me in there. The 30th, 40th, 50th time I go in there, I'm not getting anything new. There's no chance I'm going to get a random drop out of that place that's going to blow my hair back and make it all worthwhile. It's going to be the same thing over and over again. An overabundance of keys, a lack of the boxes, and now a lot of wasted time. Overall, I actually liked the Solstice event. I don't think it was that bad. Now, the things that I disliked, I really disliked, but we can look back at the events that they've had in the past, and some of them were lackluster. I didn't really feel like the Dawning had anything super interesting. I don't think Arc Week provided anything cool other than patch notes. If you look at, like I said, the Revelry, that was kind of a botched whole thing. It really screwed up Crucible for a while. So this event, for all the complaints that people have about it, it's not breaking the game. The complaints all come from fatigue. we're the ones who are choosing to grind this fast. We're the ones who are choosing to spend 7 hours in strikes. We're the ones who chose to complete things. And I know you can say, like, why would Bungie put these things out if they didn't want us to complete them? But it's an option. You can still go into Crucible right now, or you can go into Comp, you can go play Gambit, and it's not broken. Nobody in there is breaking the game, so you can play the game as you would normally and nothing has changed. And in that sense, I think it's a success. It's an event that has something for those who want to grind for it, but it doesn't break the game for those who don't want to participate. So overall, I think it was pretty good. I don't think it was that bad. Those are my thoughts on the whole Solstice of Heroes event, and let me know what you thought about it. Tell me what you thought in the comments below. Hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.